Today, we are going to talk about the Goonery of the week, plus Bears and Seahawks recap. I'm Uncle Adam. With me is the Inn Keeper and Brandon Cauley. This is the Goonery. What's going on, boys?
Not much.
Uh, as they say, living the dream. Living the dream.
Yeah, living the dream, same shit, different day. Paradise, another day in paradise. Week 2 in the books. Some shit went down. I got an honorable mention for Goonery of the Week right away. As a Saquon Barkley owner in fantasy sports, that one hurt. Oof. Man, you invest so many dollars in an auction draft or a high draft pick, and then you're just screwed. Screwed the rest of the season trying to get that scramble for Deonta Freeman on the waivers, even though you know he's not going to come close to the kind of numbers you would get from a Saquon.
Yeah, I'm in a keeper league and I decided to keep him. So you can only imagine how I'm feeling right now. And on top of that, I have Raheem Mostert, who's also out. So my running back situation right now is just dreadful.
Brutal
And
week for injuries.
yeah, it's just, and that's another thing. Week 2 is just a horrible week for injuries,
Yeah.
and especially for the 49ers. But
That's what happens with limited contact in the NFL.
Like,
You know, when your body's not used to coming into contact with other bodies, you know,
right.
in
And
camp and preseason, you're going to get hurt.
yeah, I think that's something that I also want to touch on because I was always one of those guys that said preseason is meaningless, but now I'll never take preseason for granted again.
Yeah,
Because, and we were warned about this too. We people were saying that there's gonna be a lot of injuries. I was just like let's wait and see. Week 1's pretty good. Then week 2 happens. It just seemed like everybody got injured. Like it's really sad to watch because you want to see the best players go out, and you have Bosa's out, McCaffrey's out, Garoppolo, just a slew of guys just got hurt, and of course Barkley. Jesus Christ, I can't talk today. But it's a bad week, and McCaffrey is gonna hurt because what do the Panthers have outside of him? So
Mike Davis?
they're gonna be in trouble. Big
Yeah,
trouble.
Or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, Mike Davis, backup running back. He played pretty well in relief this past week. I think he had like 7-8 catches out of the backfield. Obviously not McCaffrey, and then you have a slew of receivers there. DJ Moore, very good. Robbie Anderson's looking like a very good signing early on.
That team should tank for
Curtis.
Taylor.
You see, I don't know if they're there yet. I think that they have – they invested in Teddy Bridgewater for, 3 years? So it's going to be interesting to see how they finish out this year. Matt Rule being a first-year head coach, obviously going through some growing pains. But I just back to Saquon, injuries aside for fantasy owners, he's going to end up being one of those guys, almost like a Derrick Rose, I bet, where it's going to be a constant what could have been with him. With
I
how
saw him
often
in week
he
1
gets hurt.
against Pittsburgh, and I don't know how he doesn't get injured. Like, he is just the way he puts his body out there on the line every play, man. He's just, I don't know. He's opening up himself for those types of injuries.
Yeah,
he's built like an action figure.
Yeah, when you notice how he runs, he puts a lot of torque on his knees and calves, and he's holding too much weight. And then he almost broke his forearm legs the same game too.
Yeah,
so he has to watch how he lands.
Weird, right? The play before he it looked like he broke his forearm or separated his shoulder or something. Didn't get checked out.
I'm just like, he's carrying on too much. He's carrying on way too much muscle mass before like that because he's gonna hurt himself way more than an ACL and. Just for the fact he tore more than his ACL. Like that's just ugh.
And hey, I know he's being ruled out for the season, but after last year coming back after 2 weeks of a high ankle sprain, who knows?
Yeah, I kept him on my IR, but he's a freak. But there's it's a waste. It's just to remind me every day of how shitty my fantasy team is now. Let's move on. Brandon, what's your Goonery of the week?
My Goonery of the week is very, very simple. The Falcons. And I don't want to get on them too much because I tweeted out Falcons fans had just been through so much. And I don't want to harp on them. That's not right. But how in the hell do you not jump on the ball Like the most you risk is getting a penalty, legal
Dude,
touching.
yeah.
Okay, you're okay. You can live with that.
Snake charmer kick there.
Yeah, I mean, granted, it was a really good kick, and it will fool most teams. So I don't want to harp on them too much, but it just seems like these things happen to either the Falcons or any team that resides in Georgia. Any little goonery is going to happen in Georgia, it seems like, and I feel bad for them. I really, really do.
Well, I think the coaches will be, teaching the players to, if the ball's there to jump on, maybe jump on it. I get it. It was like 5 yards out, and then it was like, holy shit, now it's at 10 yards. It's a live
like
ball
a paper
now.
football.
Yeah.
Just spinning.
Yeah, wild. But I mean, to build on that, man, that Falcons team, I was big on them this year. They were looking pretty strong, but man, that is just, they've had historic collapses in the last few years. The Patriots in the Super Bowl, and now this. It just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. For a football team to just blow big leads like that.
And just to touch on the Falcons on the offensive side of the football a little bit so far, they're doing this with a nearly non-existent running game. People thought bringing in Todd Gurley might have done something for them. Gurley's averaging like 3.2 yards a carry right now, which is just gross.
Yeah.
Not involved in the passing game in any capacity. Julio Jones is a little banged up. Calvin Ridley looks like a freaking superstar. And, I mean, you just have to wonder, how long is Dan Quinn going to keep his job if they can't win these types of games? I mean, that's a guy who's just – you kind of wonder how he's still there after last year almost. And he's still there. And how long of a leash are they really going to give him?
Probably not long. Yeah, I mean, they had pretty tough matchups week 1 and 2, and they were. Yeah, I think he'll get fired this year, along with like 9 other coaches.
As long as
9 other.
No, maybe not. Maybe not.
Oh, Adam Gase is
out. Patricia's out. But yeah, outside of that,
possibly Marone if things go haywire. But they've done very, very well with Minshew. I think that we have a bad team. A good quarterback makes a difference. I think he's been excellent so far this year.
You bring up a good point there with Minshew. I saw something come out the other day on ESPN. It was either yesterday or the day before, saying that the Jaguars would have to really consider taking Trevor Lawrence if they end up with that first overall pick if Gardner Minshew keeps this up. And as a franchise, that's a question you kind of have to ask yourself, I feel like, because the guys want to play for Minshew. It's abundantly clear, in my opinion.
Right.
And the fan base is behind him, and he's doing all of this without the head coaching staff and the front office behind him, I would say. So if the Jaguars let him go, I could see them really coming back and burning them at some point down the road.
Yeah, I heard about the scenario because one thing to keep in mind is that Joe Douglas did not pick Sam Darnold. And although they're going to eventually scapegoat Adam Gase, there's a potential that Darnold might be scapegoated, which would be terrible in my opinion, because I think everyone can see that Darnold has talent. It's just that he's just in a horrible, horrible system, being coached up by someone that didn't deserve to be a head coach in the league right after he got fired by the Dolphins, because what the hell did he do with the Dolphins? So I think they'll be making a mistake if they give up on Darnold, but it's going to be interesting to see how the season ends, because if Darnold isn't pulling his weight per se, they'll probably consider it. But if he's just going out there just grinding out every single game and knowing that he's going to lose because his team just sucks, he's being coached and they're being coached terribly, then they have a decision to make. And I hope they don't make the wrong one, because I think getting rid of Darnold would be the wrong decision.
Yeah, I hear that, man. That team is just laughable right now.
Horrible.
Ben, who do you got for your Goonery of the week?
Mine just is going to go out to the Los Angeles Football Chargers team doctor staff after inadvertently puncturing Tyrod Taylor's lung before game time. And
okay, that's what the mysterious chest injury was.
So he had some sort of chest ailment. I don't know what it was. It really hasn't come out. But when at school, when we had our dual TV action going on and we had the Bears on the big screen and Red Zone on the smaller screen, kind of confused when Scott Hansen almost blew a load seeing Justin Herbert out there for the first drive. Then you find out that Tyrod Taylor's hurt. And now you find out that they inadvertently punctured his lung before kickoff. Like, how the hell do you have your job still? Like, and like, I'm gonna say this about Tyrod Taylor: him and his family, like they obviously already have generational wealth with this NFL contracts he's gotten. This lawsuit he's gonna win from this.
So I saw something interesting, and it actually made me sick. So per the CBA, even if a doctor makes a mistake, he cannot be sued. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. I will be, if I'm a family member of Tyrod Taylor, I am heated right now. Because, I mean, I don't even need to talk about how Tyrod Taylor should feel, because apparently he's okay. But who will be okay getting games taken away from their season because of a doctor mistake? Like who wants to be in a doctor's office?
It's a tricky situation though, because like the doctor's not trying to harm anybody on purpose, you know,
right?
Ethically. And
true, but I think the worst
mistakes happen, you know, and
I think the worst word you can hear from a doctor is and I feel like that's what's
yeah. You know, I did read with this specific like injection that they give here that like the doctors, like, cause something with the needle size, you can't exactly see the direction the needle goes into the body with, and that causes some risk with this type of shot. But I think the craziest part that came out of this, no offense to Tyrod Taylor, is the fact that even after Herbert almost led the Chargers to a win over the Chiefs in his first career start on no notice, they were up, what was it, like 17-10 or something like that going into the fourth quarter, and they
Herbert
still
fucking looked good.
Still came out and said that regardless, Tyrod will be our starter. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
That might be a Goonery of the week next week if they start Tyrod after Justin Herbert's or whatever his name is good start against the fucking defending Super Bowl champs there. It'll be interesting to watch, but yeah, he looked ready.
Yeah, he did.
He did.
He looked very, very poised. He didn't make the best throws, but he looked poised. That's the most you can get.
I mean, you know, made a mistake or two, but I mean, it's the Chiefs, and you're a rookie in your first game, and you didn't really plan to play. So,
yep.
Brandon, you said that he looked poised and didn't make the best looking throws. That kind of reminds me of a number 10 in the city of Chicago.
Let's talk about it. Let's hold that
thought. Let's hold that thought for a second.
Hold that thought. Okay.
We're gonna hold that thought. I took some notes here on the Bears Week 2 game. Let me just run through my actual Goonery of the week real quick. I mean, how awesome was that fucking Patriots Seahawks game on Sunday night? Just
great game.
What you watch the game for. But man, a couple under 2-minute fourth quarter play calls on both sides of the ball looked a little suspect. And these are from some of the Coach of the Year nominees.
Right.
3rd and 1, Russell Wilson, do one of your little RPO plays that has high efficiency to get the first down, and don't rely on your shitty ass defense to fucking bail you out if you fuck up an overthrown ball like you just had. Seems a little silly to me, especially given the history of fucking up 1-yard plays against that team. Whatever, you know. And then, you know, Cam drives all the way down there, and man, they're gonna run that same play for like the 3rd time. You know, fool me once, you know, shame on me, or whatever that, you know, shame on you, shame on me. You know, they fool them all day with that goal line play, but it was a hell of a play from that Seahawks defender to blow it up. But you know, I guess it's a tough lesson to learn that, you know, you can't run that Cam Newton play at the goal line, you know, every time, and that cost them the game.
Yeah, it almost reminded me of someone who's just getting overly confident playing Madden, thinking you could just run the same
Yeah.
halfback outside
Yeah.
counter and just get 7 yards every single time. But my biggest takeaway from that game is that if anyone's going to continue to doubt this Patriots team, you're a
Just
fool.
a hater.
I mean, the Patriots had no right to be in that position late in the game. They were down, 2 scores and going into the fourth quarter. Cam Newton looked like Cam Newton of old. He looks phenomenal. And there's got to be a lot of teams right now.
I drafted him for the record. $2 in an auction. Started him week 1.
Oh, yeah. You got to be No. All I was going to say is that if you're one of those franchises who made quarterback changes this offseason, you see the way that Cam is competing, you got to be kicking yourself in the dick right now.
Yeah, I think
and I'm looking at the freaking Panthers more than anyone right now.
Well, I'm looking at the Bears too. I don't see why they didn't go after Cam Newton.
I don't know why either, but I have a quick thought because I know we got to move on.
Yeah.
But it boggles my mind because like that last play call with Cam trying to run it in really bothered me because does anyone watch like old college football and how goal line plays can be like really, really good? Do they understand they can do jump throws, right? And they'll get the defense every single time.
Yeah.
Because I can't understand for the life of me why it's the most simplest of play calls. You run the same play down by the goal line about 2 or 3 times, you fail, mix it up. It's Bill Belichick. I would assume that he would have had a trick up his sleeve, but he did it. I think a jump throw would have been perfect. They'd have been caught off guard because if you're in that formation, you're like, all right, they're going to run it. It's just a matter of which way he's going to run.
Yeah. I mean, that was a hell of a play from that Seahawks defender. He just blew up the fullback and Cam Newton all in one go. But what are you gonna do? All right, let's move on to it's week 2. Let's move on to the Bears recap. Anyone would have some initial thoughts they want to lead with?
I mean, all I'm gonna say is that are we ever gonna get one complete game from both the coaching staff and Mitch Trubisky? Just at some point. Obviously, the fourth quarter last week, the first half this past week. Then after that, I don't know what it was. Was it the play calling changing? Was Matt Nagy getting too comfortable? I don't know.
You took my thoughts straight out of my head because if there's anyone who's going to sit there and try to blame Trubisky for the potential loss that we were going to have against the Giants, they're wrong. Because in the first half, he balled out. No one can deny that. But the second half, it just seemed like, oh, it's the New York Giants. They're not that good. Let's just relax, and we'll be all right. We almost lost that game.
Yeah.
We almost lost. So that, to me, is the biggest concern coming out of the Week 2 game because you cannot get conservative with any team in the NFL. I don't care who it is because there are teams – that if you give them a little bit of relaxation and coverage, they're going to exploit it. It happens every single time. And when the play calling gets stagnant on offense and you're doing run, pass, giving me just PTSD from Dow Loggins being the offensive coordinator, like that's not something that we can afford to do. If you are going to push Trubisky to be the quarterback he's going to be, put your foot on their necks. Keep scoring.
Yeah.
Because you have the ability to do that. Because, listen, Allen Robinson has been good, but how about Darnell Mooney? Like, this kid can ball. And he's a great blocker, too. And you have Javon Wims, who's on the cusp of being cut, and now he's making plays. He's blocking. There's a lot of weapons for this team to just be relaxed and act just with, like, 17-point leads.
Yeah, I agree with most of what you're saying. All the shit we hear about Mitch, it's not him dropping balls in the end zone or getting worked, by a cornerback on a jump ball. I agree too. We need to try to score, 53 points a game and not cling to a, 20-point lead and hope for the best.
Mm-hmm.
that Miller drop in the end zone, and he's now behind. What was that guy's name?
Darnell Mooney.
Mooney. Yeah.
Mooney. Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna say this about that drop for Miller in the end zone. I know some people were kind of pissed off Mitch even threw that ball, but let me just say that might have been the best looking throw I've seen Mitch make in a long time.
Yes.
When you talk about putting in the breadbasket, that was in a spot where only Anthony Miller could have caught it, hit him in the hands, and he dropped it.
Well, Miller caught a fucking way harder version of that catch last week where Mitch really didn't put it on the money. It's so frustrating. Exactly. It's so frustrating.
And, like, with Anthony Miller and, like, the emergence of Mooney, I mean, Miller's leash has got to be short here. I mean, the coaching staff cannot be happy with him. He had no catches this week, a couple of drops, and it's just offensively, the Bears, like, I will say this about the Bears offensively. They're getting creative, but in the first half at least, I'll say this for this past week. Matt Nagy is getting creative, but he's not getting so creative that he's shooting himself in the foot.
If that makes a little too creative.
That's what I wanted to touch upon because the conversion before the Santos miss, the 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 calls infuriate the hell out of me. You have David Montgomery, who he had a big run. It got set back by penalty, and he went literally almost to the same spot that he was because he was just running it down their throats. He was running the ball so effectively the whole day. The offensive line was doing a great job of blocking for him. Why do you feel like you have Peyton Manning in the backfield to be thrown in 2 straight times on a 31 and 4th and 1? You got bailed out because Bobby Massey would just happen to be in the right place at the right time. How in the hell can you not run that man on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1? It's literally that easy.
They should put him between the tackles more. Run him between the tackles.
I mean, Montgomery's becoming the running back we all thought he was going to be.
Yeah, he had a good game.
Over 5 yards of carry this week. Really well receiving the ball out of the backfield. I think he had 3 catches, a touchdown, and probably, I don't know, around 50 yards because that touchdown was a longer one. But, damn, he's looking good.
We got to stop using Cordarrelle on offense, though. I don't understand that.
You see, I like Patterson on the offensive side of the football just because if he gets the ball in his hand, he's dynamic, he's big. I'm not saying we should be handing him the football off in the backfield, but my favorite thing about Patterson is he is a phenomenal blocker.
Yes.
He is. And he's not a player who's going to bitch and moan about not getting the football. He just wants to go out there and do his job and do what he's good at. And you see him every week burying cornerbacks when he's blocking them one-on-one. And I'll take that from a reserve wide receiver, a gadget player, whatever you want to call him, 10 times out of 10.
I like him for kick returns.
He's phenomenal at returning kicks.
But what I was going to say was one thing that the Bears did make a priority is blocking. Demetrius Harris can block his ass off. J.P. Holtz was a great blocker last year. Mooney can block. Wims can block. They made it a priority, and that is why people should really, pump the brakes when they talk about Ryan Pace and his moves because I feel like he knows what he's doing most of the time. You can see when he drafts players. He knows what he's doing. It's just a matter of not making the splashes that annoys people. And I get that. But at the same time,
splash is a little questionable.
Which one?
Tariq Cohen.
Oh, yeah. That was a little questionable, but I'm not mad at it because it wasn't like a crazy amount of mice. I'm not mad at that move.
I'm also not mad at it. I think the hypocrisy on Cohen's end, I understand you want to get your bag, rightfully so. But him all week tweeting about extend A-Rob, and then just out of nowhere, you feel like the Bears almost subtweeting A-Rob by giving Cohen the extension. But Cohen said he left money on the table with the deal in an attempt to try and give it to A-Rob. They need to close the gap on those $2 million at some point, just for peace of mind of Bear fans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Bears Falcons next week. I feel like that D's got to show up if they want to have a chance to beat that team.
Oh yeah, I feel the Falcons, they're beat up right now, but I feel like they're motivated too.
Yeah.
So I don't. That's gonna be a tough game. That's gonna be a very, very, very tough game.
I saw a stat today that in between Jalen Johnson and Kyle Fuller this year combined, they've given up like 136 yards or something like that, which is just
That's ridiculous.
unreal. Jalen Johnson is already like getting national praise, which for a second round cornerback, I mean, I love that pick when it happened, and it's just awesome to see him taking to the NFL game so quickly. So there's Julio's questionable right now, but I feel like Julio's been questionable every week of his entire career.
Yeah, him and Amari
But then-
Cooper.
But then, Calvin Ridley looks like one of the best wide receivers in football right now.
Those are
good.
Alabama receivers.
Yeah. And then they have God, who's that? Russell Gage, he's the new guy they have.
Yeah, Russell Gage, yeah.
He's been balling out a little bit too, so Bears defensive backs are gonna have their hands full this week.
Oh,
They are,
100%.
yeah.
Even the linebackers with Hayden Hurst.
The defense is gonna have to, pull deep down to kind of find their footing again. I feel like they look a little out of shape in the last couple games.
Yeah, it's like we were saying earlier, just getting into the groove of it, not having any in-game speed with no preseason. And
Yeah.
I mean, I know the Giants, they lost Barkley and they didn't have Sterling Shepard, but they still held them to under 300 total yards of offense, which in the NFL, that's impressive. 13 points. And Eddie Jackson, that pick six, that was ticky-tacky.
Oh,
That was
That
about
hurt.
as ticky-tacky of a call I can recall in a long time.
that hurt.
So, I mean, just looking at it, like from that perspective, it would have looked a lot differently. We would be looking at the defense a lot differently if that pick six didn't get called back, in my opinion.
100%.
You could definitely see they made the adjustments after that brutal first half against the Lions last week.
Well, fuck, they're 2-0. The Vikings look like trash. The Lions are shit.
That was going to be my Goonery. The Vikings look bad.
The Packers look good, but they're
Kirk
one
Cousins.
fucked
Kirk
up
Cousins.
Yeah, he's,
You want to talk about like just fleecing people and getting your family generational wealth? I mean, holy shit! What do you have? He had like 100, like a little over 100 yards, and he had like 2 or 3 turnovers. That was
We'll see. They look a little different on offense without Diggs.
Yeah.
Before we maybe do 2 minutes on the Seahawks to wrap this up here, you're at your parents' house, right, Ben?
Right now I am, yes.
That fucking photo with the runaway kid and the cop in the background. My family had that same picture.
It's
Such a baby
staple.
boomer fucking photo.
Absolutely. I'm pretty sure that came from my grandparents' house. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a Norman Rockwell, so it's a good one.
Okay. Yeah. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah, posted up in the basement.
Cool. The man cave. Seahawks game. I mean, Russ. I mean, my takeaway. He looks like the MVP front runner right now.
Without a doubt. He's amazing.
And good for him. He's a good guy. Fucking talented as hell. It's good to see that team trying to throw the ball instead of fucking run it 30 times and like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just their defense is questionable. And it's crazy because they have a lot of talent, but just their offense just really, really makes up for everything that they're lacking on defense. Like Russell Wilson is just that good. He's reaching that Aaron Rodgers category of carrying a team with I won't say lesser talent because I think the Seahawks definitely have more talent at the wide receiver position than the Packers. But you see that he can carry his team, and that's why I have him as my Super Bowl pick. It only takes a couple of stops on defense to get the job done. Just ask Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
Yeah, he's got one of the prettiest deep balls in the game. You'll hear it from any sports fucking outlet. Man, that Clowney getting out of there. I feel like if they would have had Clowney and fucking Wagner and Jamal Adams on that team, that would have been a fucking sick defense given
100%.
What's their cap situation looking like that they didn't
That's a hell of a question, man. I haven't researched that. I'll try to research it right now, but I agree. I mean, you couldn't give that guy $18 million for one season when Russ is in his last couple of years of being a prime NFL quarterback. I don't understand it. It's so frugal.
So, no, it is, and so it's saying, all right, well, I get it. I'm looking at it now. This year they have about $6 million in total cap space left. So they would have had to have done some serious restructuring. So I can see why they didn't. But like that's it's a difficult call. And Clowney's been playing pretty well down in Tennessee. That Tennessee team is also real quick looking
They're asleep there.
a lot. They're looking a lot different from last year. I mean, they're obviously still running the ball, not as effectively.
Ryan Tannehill's good.
Ryan Tannehill's good.
Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill is a legitimately good quarterback.
They got receivers on that team. They got
and
Derrick
he got
Henry.
away from Gates too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder. Connect the dots.
Mm-hmm.
Man, how terrible is Gase?
I want him gone so bad. I'm not a Jets fan. I can't stand him.
It looks like the Bears
like,
dodged a bullet with that one.
I mean, when Gase was here, he was a solid offensive coordinator.
He was.
I will say that, but like, I would feel uncomfortable ever giving Adam Gase the keys to anything. Like, it's just.
Yeah, he's done. This has got to be two.
If he gets another head coaching job, it's just so incredibly fucked up.
Them Peyton Manning ties was got him that damn job.
Yeah,
That's what
he looked like the QB whisperer, right? He put himself in the right position there. Yeah,
but
definitely was.
How in the hell are you gonna get credit for coaching Peyton Manning? Peyton Manning was a made product by the time he got there.
He was also injecting himself with his wife's growth hormones, but that's a topic for a different day.
An old Goonery of the week. All right. That about wraps it up for this week. If you're still listening, go ahead, hit that subscribe button on the YouTube. We'll be on iTunes soon. Follow us at Twitter at @_Goonery. We're on Facebook, the Goonery, Instagram, you name it. All right, boys.